or only a few people were doing it at that time. And I was thinking, in a few years, everyone's going to want to do this. Like, if I can do it, why can't anyone
And
else?
it's getting there.
Yeah.
Video is hot right now, and everyone knows that video on social is, you get higher engagement rates, and brands have to have video now.
Yeah. Rave about the butterfly.
So explain that one.
So the caterpillar and the butterfly are essentially the same thing.
Yeah.
The caterpillar has to go through a lot of changes, a lot of adversity before growing and turning into a butterfly.
Yeah.
Everyone praises the butterfly, but they don't see the hard work that it goes through in the caterpillar stage.
And that's common everywhere.
Yeah.
Across entrepreneurs, influencers, everyone around the world. Everyone looks at the end result, and they don't look at what it takes to get there.
Yeah.
Or they think what it took to get there was easy.
Yeah.
When it's so much of the opposite.
Yeah. They just see like the final result of it, and they're like, "Oh, you have everything so easy for you, and you're just good at this naturally." Like, no.
So wasn't Michael Jordan the one that always was the one that said that, where he was always saying that people looked at the end result, but they didn't know what it took them to get there? I think he said something like that.
He says, I can accept failure. Everyone fails at something, but I can't accept not trying.
Which is
also
an amazing
amazing
one. I think that's the one we're gonna have to put on the wall.
Yeah.
I admire those ones that come out of, like, when Michael Jordan says those types of things. You listen, you pay attention, because he went through that adversity many times to get to. Yeah.
I think that's a good one, because everyone's kind of like grown up, especially for me, like you've seen that quote plenty of times.
Yeah.
And I have thought of it every time things have gotten a little bit tough, you kind of go back to stuff like that. So I think I'll probably go with that one.
I like it.
Yeah.
I like it.
That's the one.
Can we roll it?
You guys keep talking. Yeah, it's rolling.
All right. What about, tell me a little bit about, we're just pre-rolling here as we're warming up.
Yeah.
Tell me a bit about, we talked about it a little bit before the show, but getting through and being part of an entrepreneurial family growing up. Your dad runs a business in Fort McMurray.
Yeah.
And, you were ingrained in that and still are.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about that.
I've always kind of seen my dad as like a go-getter.
Yeah.
He's worked for many companies. We actually used to live out in Abu Dhabi, in United Arab Emirates.
Yeah.
And he worked for a company in Das Island. So to me, it was always kind of cool seeing him leave in a helicopter to go somewhere.
Yeah.
That just, like, I used to watch Aladdin a lot.
Yeah.
Like, yo, that's Aladdin.
You're excited for Aladdin coming out?
Yeah.
I know Q, he said that he's going to buy his advance tickets and get there. So
Lion King.
Yeah.
I can't wait for that.
I watched Lion King growing up.
Yeah.
I kid you not, 20 times. Like I think most kids did. You just watch it over and over again. And I think Lion King this year is going to be crazy.
Yeah.
I think Aladdin is too, but I think Lion King's
going to be on a whole nother level.
I think
to me, like all my everything, even now, like my banking passwords, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Relate back to Lion King.
Well, and that's like it had such an impact on kids. We watched it so many times that it translated through, and now seeing it come out again with this live action.
Yeah.
Disney did it right. They crushed it, because we're going to all flood to the theaters and watch it.
Yeah.
So,
and even like the preview of it all and how it just seems so futuristic in real life that you're like, you can't believe that it's gone from, because we've seen it in the early stages of it being a cartoon. And I think for me, the reason that I have such a big emotional attachment towards it is people don't understand the ass whooping I got before watching The Lion King.
Yeah.
Every time I'd watch The Lion King, it's because I was sad.
Yeah.
I was like, my dad just got mad at me, something bad's happening. Let's go watch Lion King to be happy.
So it gave you that positive vibe. Well, okay. So we're a little off topic. Take it back to the entrepreneurship. You watch your dad fly off in a helicopter.
Yeah, so he's kind of always been working most of my life. earlier on, it was more so for other companies. But him coming to Fort McMurray was kind of like his dream to kind of build on it and then start his own thing down the road. So it's kind of cool to see it kind of come to life at this point. And yeah, obviously everyone kind of sees it like the people from the outside are like, oh, your dad runs a company, that's pretty cool, like good for you guys type of thing. But then I see the other side of it, of him. For instance, he just messaged me at like 1 a.m. last night leaving a site. Yeah. And he's always kind of like working early mornings, late nights. So people don't often see that. And when I started doing my own thing, it kind of gave me the opportunity to understand this is normal versus when adversity hit, I'm like, oh, why is this happening to me? Yeah. I kind of know like this is the route that's going to be given to me. I'm going to be facing lots of challenges like that. So it was definitely something that I had to kind of understand and just like embrace it rather than ask why me.
Yeah. I find that when I ask that question to people that grew up in entrepreneurial families, that's always the thing that comes out. They saw their parents give everything towards the business and continue to give everything towards the business. Yeah. And it's part of that North America business culture. That's what you have to do in order to succeed. Yeah. And Fort McMurray is not an easy place to start a business. So yeah. That's crazy, and he's still up there and thriving. So that's awesome. When did you guys take the move from Abu Dhabi to Fort McMurray?
So we actually moved to St. John's, Newfoundland for quite a while. Yeah. In 2001 to 2006. Okay. So he was still out in Das Island and would fly back and forth. Yeah. We were living with my aunt at the time. But then once we had some family out here in Calgary that moved down here, and then we kind of did like a family reunion after a long time and realized how important and fun it was to kind of be around family. Yeah. So we made like the plan of kind of coming down in the same province at the very least. They're out in Calgary, you don't want to be...
Still make it, yeah.
But yeah, my dad kind of started looking for opportunities out here in Alberta, and he saw that in the next 20, 30 years, he saw like it projecting to be something a lot bigger than it was back in the day. Yeah. So he had that in mind. He wanted to get his... he had some good experience overseas. And a lot of good connections, so he kind of used that to his advantage. And everywhere he kind of went, the biggest thing for him is he networked really well. He did tons of odd jobs, but he also did tons of jobs related to what he specialized in. Yeah. So he made a lot of friends in between those lines and kind of used it to his advantage once he got here as well.
And that's the way, I mean, Grandpa started his business with a firm handshake. Yeah. We say that all the time, right? And that's the way businesses have always been started, but that's starting to evolve now with online, and I know you're helping him take that there. Yeah. So tell me a little bit about that. Is he taking it online?
Yeah. The way that I kind of see it, and I've talked to him about it, is that I see his credentials up here. Yeah. He's someone who's done this for a very long time. He's very knowledgeable, and he understands the industry that he's in to the max. Yeah. I don't think there's anything that beats experience. But nowadays, especially in the digital world that we live in, it has to match, your social media has to match your experience as well. And if there's a disconnect in between there, there's going to be a little bit of issues. Obviously, some people are going to be able to manage without it based on the field you're in. But obviously, in his competitive field, every little thing kind of adds towards getting that next client and kind of retaining them. Yeah. And in the digital world that we live in now, he could be doing a ton of things. For instance, I was just down there recently, and I saw all the projects that he did from start to finish. But all of his clients don't really see that. So now I'm trying to...
Time lapse.
Exactly.
Right, before and after.
Yeah, even little things just to kind of like show them what projects you're doing rather than kind of giving proposal letters that are just like generic and basic to the point where it's, oh, here's what we offer, rather than kind of showing proof and previous like testimonials that you might have gotten.
And project timelines and project time lapses are my favorite because they can be used so many different ways. You take the time lapse, you take 1,000 screenshots from that time lapse of the project and you post them across all platforms. Then you go and write a blog about the project and you make your case study. and then you can build your content library and just transfer that out project after project, and
Yeah.
you have this content you can just blast out.
Exactly.
I love that, and it's something I think that people miss, right? You could go back to this is the one I hear all the time. We have a company party, or you go to an event, and then at the end, everyone says, "Who took the picture?" And no one took a picture. No one thought about creating that content in the day to day, and transferring that out. And you touched on something earlier that I loved: the disconnect between experience and having that online presence.
Yeah.
And what I like to say is there's a disconnect in credibility. You have all the experience in the world, and you don't have an online presence at all. You can still succeed. You can still make it.
Yeah.
But if you have the online presence that matches your credibility, then the younger buyers and the younger procurement people and people going out to make those purchase decisions are going to see that, and you're going to have an advantage.
I think especially now, it's kind of the opposite. People have their social media game really high, and their experience is really low. So I think his advantage is the social media can grow a lot faster than experience. His experience took 20, 30 years. Your social media you can work on instantly and turn it around within a few years even.
Yeah, you still have to put the time and effort in.
It's obviously a lot of...
You can turn it around.
Yeah, exactly.
And you make videos. I've seen your videos. They're crazy good. So
appreciate it.
They you can help them get that on a roll.
Yeah.
So tell me now, the living in, we didn't even intro this thing, so it's just going to be gray all the way through.
So intro right
Yeah, we got Khurram Sultan here. He is an aspiring entrepreneur here in Edmonton, and he's chasing his dream of being a pro basketball player. And I'm excited to have him on the show today and talk a little bit about, let's talk about right now. Let's talk about in the dark, train in the dark.
So this is somewhat my baby.
Yeah.
I actually started it as K Sultan Basketball because that was my Instagram handle.
Yeah.
And earlier on when I first started making videos, I thought it'd be cool to kind of have, like, for instance, my dad has SMG, which stands for Sultan Management Group.
Yeah.
So I kind of went that same route based off of my Instagram. But down the line, I kind of like rethought about it. My brother kept on telling me that you shouldn't have your name as the brand. You should change it into something. Yeah. And that's when I kind of started doing a little bit more research and how efficient it is having a brand name under your name versus actually creating something.
Yeah.
So
and there's mixed reviews on that. I'll touch on that after, but go ahead.
To me, I wanted something like if I gave you, for instance, a K Sultan shirt, you'd be like, oh, this is his stuff, right? Yeah. The reason that I created this was because I wanted people to wear it and feel like it's their own. Yeah. Versus just my name under
100%.
Yeah, like you're indirectly supporting me by wearing this, but also I wanted people to have that emotional attachment towards it. For example, when I was younger, I'd have a Nike shirt that said underdog. Yeah. And I'd go to the gym feeling like an underdog. Like I was ready to put in additional work. Not that I wouldn't have anyway, but it was just a mindset that shirt gave me as like something that I could touch and feel. And once I decided about creating like a slogan, and I went through a dark time myself, so I found that the discomfort, the uncomfortable feeling that I got through that helped me grow into where I'm at now.
It comes back to your caterpillar butterfly quote, exactly. Right? You kind of break free, and then at the end, people are going to look at the butterfly, but they didn't know what it took to get there. Yeah. And your brand represents that. Yeah. So with the brand, what's the goal with the brand? Are you going to be selling products? Are you going to? Yeah, I'm planning on everything that I've kind of built up with free content through Instagram. Yeah. I've started creating a community that admires what I do and kind of believes in what I do as well. The long-term goal is obviously to sell merchandise to people who want to be a part of something that's a little bit unique, a little bit different, not directly Nike or Adidas. Yeah. And I've signed 2 Olympic athletes who play for Team Canada basketball. Yeah. I have a CFL athlete. I have an Australian volleyball player. So it's not limited to basketball. Yeah. But at the same time, like the slogan is train in the dark, shine in the light. Yeah. So the work you put in the dark will ultimately be shown in the light. So to me, it always kind of like blew my mind when people would be like, oh, you're so good at doing this and that, because they see it in a game, but they don't see like the thousands of shots that we have to go through during the week. They don't see like the
the grueling workouts, the 2.4 kilometer timed runs and stuff like that. So that's where it kind of generated from and kind of grew, that thought of turning this into a brand and kind of shifting from Sultan basketball that was just kind of limited to one thing and kind of making it open to everyone else as well.
Well, and I probably wouldn't wear a Sultan shirt, so I'll have to get one of your Train in the Dark ones. And because you're right, I mean, when you choose a brand, what I was touching on with the research is personal brands are very popular right now.
Yeah.
But personal brands relate to any service or business that you're trying to create. It's still built around you. The brand is still built around you at this point in time. So having a personal brand is important. But for your product or service, having a unique name is important as well.
Yeah.
It's going to allow people to connect with it and engage with it. The other thing it's going to allow to do is unique names are important. I tell this to every single client because it allows you to get site links on search engines.
Yeah.
And if you don't have a unique name or if it's too close to another name, then you don't get those site links.
Yeah.
So there's so many factors that some people just choose a name, some people dedicate a ton of time looking something up, but as long as it's unique, it's all that matters. It's going to end up helping you in the end. And you made the right choice. We all want, the whole office here is going to want your swag. So
appreciate it.
We'll get that going.
Yeah.
So take me through next. Then you're a basketball player.
Yeah.
And you've been playing. You got your brand set up. You're an entrepreneur. You're working on videos and building that craft. But at the same time, the dream is still to be a pro basketball athlete.
Yeah.
So take me through that journey from when you started. I guess it was at Harry Ainley High School, right?
Yeah.
It took you through to Red Deer College, and now where scouts and thinking about going to play in Europe. Take me through that entire journey and where you are now.
That journey was obviously up and down, just like it would be for anyone.
Yeah.
Obviously, nothing's guaranteed, and you're never too sure what to kind of even tell your parents. For instance, my dad's always saying, when are you going to come work a desk job, essentially? And to me, when I was younger, they didn't really understand it in the same sense that I kind of took it in. And to me, that was my goal and dream, but it's kind of hard to tell your parents, I want to be a professional athlete.
Yeah.
Because they're like, first off, you're 5'10".
Yeah.
You're brown. We didn't give you the best genetics. So, it was definitely a tough route to take, but in the back of my mind, I knew it was possible. And the more I believed in it myself rather than looking for other
belief is everything.
Exactly. So earlier I would kind of go if JV believes me, then I believe it. But now it got to a certain point where I was like, I have to believe in it myself, and I have to be realistic as well. It's not like if it's out of reach, it's out of reach. And it's hard to kind of come into terms with that. But the older you get, the more realistic approach you take. And it kind of gets back to
the wisdom grows.
Yeah, wisdom grows. And Michael Jordan had this one quote as well where he said, tell me my weaknesses and I'll turn them into strengths.
Yeah.
So it was something that most people try to avoid what their weaknesses are. They don't want it to be shown or for people to know what you're bad at. Yeah.
Yeah.
So hearing that at an early age, it kind of always made me think, whatever I'm bad at, I can always change it into something that I can excel at. And that's the route I kind of took. I always was listed as a shooter.
Yeah.
But I was like, why can't I dribble the ball? It's dribbling. It's not like I need to be 6'6" to dribble the ball. So little things like that, and I slowly built up on it more and more. And the closer I got towards finishing my college career, I saw it as being a possibility. I saw some of my friends go play pro. So the closer I got, the more reachable and attainable the goal was, and the more I kind of dreamed of it. I've had an emotional attachment to it at an early stage, but the older I got, the more I wanted it that much more, comparing it to an earlier age where, I'll think about it later, because that was ultimately the next step for me.
Yeah. And this is a myth to me because I didn't play in university any sports. I grew up playing hockey my entire life. I golf a lot now.
Yeah.
But when you're playing for Red Deer and you're out on the court, are scouts calling you, or are you out seeking out those scouts because you want to go try out in Europe at a couple different teams this year? How did that process end up happening for all those aspiring athletes out there going to college and trying to figure out how to make that happen?
It's a bit of both, especially in the day and age that we live in now. Digital media can make you look a lot better than you are, or it can kind of expose you of who you are as well. So for me, my coach, there's a lot of highlight films that are just basically set on shooting and just scoring.
Yeah.
To me, I asked Coach, what's the best way to kind of approach getting scouted? Right?
Yeah.
And he said, he gave me like a good basis of having not only just scoring, but having different scenarios. For instance, coming off ball screens, coming off how you move without the ball, and other things that professional coaches look for, rather than just
the stuff that it's hard to teach.
Yeah.
Right. If you have those instincts ahead of time before they see you, then they're much more likely to be interested in giving you that chance.
And the higher up you go in levels, it's more so IQ as well. So I kind of made a good tape of me showcasing, instead of sending a highlight tape, I sent them my best game. And it showed like all the mistakes that I made, all the good things that I did, and how I kind of stayed in the game throughout the entire
Showed your basketball IQ.
Exactly.
Your ability to look at the tape and understand where you went wrong and where you went right. And do you send those out then to all of the teams? Is that what you did, or did some of them contact the coach? What was that?
A few contacted me.
Yeah.
I've had a few personal connections that I've made throughout the years as well with people who have played pro, with their agents. And one of the guys, I played with him in a tournament, and he's like, "Oh, I thought I knew you were good, but I actually played in this league for 11 years.
Yeah.
Have you ever thought about playing?" And he was very invested in me going to play, because he couldn't believe that. He's like, "You have to go play. Like, this is an opportunity not many people are going to have.
Yeah.
And if you really love this and this is what you want to do, this is what you can do." So I made sure to kind of stay close with people like that and kind of build my own network in the basketball world. So that when it came to this time, it was easier for me to be like, "Hey, I'm done now. Here's my tape. Are you able to send this out to a few people?"
All right, now I'm 14 years old and I want to be a pro basketball athlete. I want to go to university and play. Tell the audience out there what you're doing to train in the dark to get to that point in time when you have those tryouts later this year.
I will be working out at this place called Elite Athlete Training Systems out in Spruce Grove.
Yep.
They're by far like the best facility I've gone in terms of training. Often, like when you go to the rec center, you see guys that are there to bodybuild, not specifically be an athlete. So this gym is entirely based on being an athlete, and all the equipment that's around there is more so focused on an athlete versus like a bodybuilding style, like conventional bench press, squat, and all that.
Yeah.
They have all these machines that I've never seen before, and stuff that I like. The moment I walk in, I'm like, I don't want to look at it because I know the amount of pain it's going to put me through later.
Yeah.
But Brad, the owner of Eats, is very good. He's like by far, he's an entrepreneur as well to me.
Yeah.
So I see him as someone who doesn't just give out a generic workout. Each day is different, and it's always based on how you're kind of doing as an athlete. I think it's very important for me to find people who are invested in what they do as well. Because if there's someone, for example, just giving me, "Hey, just follow this workout, this is what you got to do," and they're just in it for the money, then obviously it's not going to work for you as well in the long run. So Brad, as well as the guys at ARC, Raj, they also communicate back and forth. Like if I'm having...
keep you in tip-top shape.
Yeah, if I'm having issues with my hip, Brad will be like, "Hey, his hip was a little bit tight. Can you make sure that... check this out," or he's having trouble with this during the workout. So kind of building a full foundation of not just one thing. At a younger age, like 14, 15, you don't really plan your workouts. You just plan to go to the gym.
Yeah.
So I think the biggest thing at that age is to plan out your week. And every off season try to figure out what your weaknesses are and how to turn them into strengths, while at the same time what you're good at excelling at.
So when you're going through that process and planning it out, like how many days a week now are you in the gym? What are you doing now training and looking at those weaknesses and getting them ready to go?
This may seem like a lot to most people, but ultimately if your goal is to play pro, like this is what it has to be. But 4 days a week I'll be at Eats doing strength training. 5 days a week I'll be doing my own conditioning and shooting.
Yeah.
And then also 3 days of the week is a lot of like yoga and stretching.
Keeping everything loose and ready.
And on top of that, I've partnered up with Mealcraft as well, who kind of take care of my nutrition.
So talk about nutrition, because I think that's the one disconnect, and that's the one thing I always struggled with when playing sports was it was sure work out, get ready, play lots, practice lots, but then the nutrition is just as big a part of it as it is working out.
Yeah.
So talk about what you do to get your body ready from that nutrition standpoint to get ready to play.
Nutrition, obviously, for everyone, especially kids, can seem a little intimidating because you don't know. So you either overeat or you undereat.
Yeah.
It's hard to find that balance. What most people don't know is, like, they feel a little helpless. I remember when I was 14, I told my mom, I was like, Mom, I can't have this food anymore. Like, I feel sick going to practice. I don't feel good. And I feel like with all the hours of work I'm putting in, I could be a better athlete if I was eating different.
Yeah.
So it was harder because she didn't know what to make me either. And that kind of started getting me onto YouTube. Everything's available if you look for it. I think the younger you are, sometimes we make excuses and say, okay, we don't need to.
Yeah, the metabolism's still good, so you don't know the difference.
Exactly. So the older you get, if you build these habits, it's just a lot easier to kind of maintain and play for a longer time.
Yeah.
But what I did at a younger age was use MyFitnessPal and search up what macronutrients were, which were fats, proteins, and carbs. So kind of getting an understanding of that, you can get a rough estimate. A lot of kids nowadays, through their parents, even have the opportunity to seek a nutritionist under benefits that they don't know about, which I didn't know about. But the older I got, I was like, oh, I've had this, and I didn't even use it, right? So it's something that you can kind of figure out through YouTube or kind of seek a professional for it. But it is definitely key towards getting to the next level up. And the higher you kind of get, the more running, I guess, the more strain there is on your knees, your body, and everything else. So it definitely does make a big factor into playing long term.
Love it. So basketball's the dream right now.
Yeah.
Chasing it hard. Video is the side hustle.
Yeah.
Trying to get it going. So what got you into video? Because I always use analogies between sports and business and sports and entrepreneurship. I think being in sports translates to teaching you how to be an entrepreneur really well. You're part of a team, you're growing, you're being artistic, and so basketball, you're throwing a ball. It's very precise.
Yeah.
Golf and basketball, it's a game of inches.
Yeah.
You're being precise, you're visualizing the shot. And I think that translates to video a little bit for you, but elaborate on that. What got you into video, why, and where are you trying to take it?
When I actually saw a Facebook post come up the other day that said, it was from 3 years ago, and it said, does anyone know a place where you can buy a camera or a stabilizer? At that time, I didn't even know what they were called.
Yeah.
I was just like, it's something that I was interested in. I didn't know who to kind of ask. But at that time, I remember thinking about a few years ahead. I was like, oh, if I do play professionally, it would be kind of cool to kind of get into the video side of it and kind of document it down the road.
Yeah. And
at that time, I was thinking, if I have kids, like, if I make all these videos, then they can kind of see what I was like as a younger kid as well.
See what you did in the dark.
Yeah. So it was definitely, that was the route I was kind of taking. I was thinking, if I did build an audience, I could somewhat take them from one side of the world to another and kind of grow the video side of it and the brand that I had in mind down the road, in the back of your head. Like, you always kind of had
10,000 foot view. You had the idea.
Yeah.
You wanted to just get it there.
I just didn't want to, I was too scared to say it out loud, but at that time I was like, I want to create my own clothing line.
Yeah.
That type of stuff. But videos, I definitely saw it was picking up, and a lot of people were doing, or only a few people were doing it at that time. And I was thinking, in a few years, everyone's going to want to do this. Like, if I can do it, why can't anyone
And it's getting there.
Yeah.
Video is hot right now, and everyone knows that video on social you get higher engagement rates, and brands have to have video now.
Yeah.
There's almost no choice.
Exactly.
So you were on the right track there.
Yeah.
So what did you do? You just went out and bought a camera and started learning, or did you go back to YouTube and?
No, I went to YouTube. So it was during fasting. It was during Ramadan, and I was up every night, like opposite hours of all my friends. Yeah. And I'm very introverted, so I didn't really do much outside anyway. So I figured instead of just spending my time watching Netflix, like this time I'm gonna learn how to edit videos, learn the basics at the very least, and kind of spend a few hours every night kind of going through it. And at that time I was thinking I was like really good at videos. I was like, wow, I'm not bad at this. In the back of my mind, I don't want to say it out loud, but I was like, I kind of like understand it. Now that I look back at some of the videos I made, they're terrible. I don't even want to. I was like,
and you think they were so good too. Hey, when you produced those ones at the beginning, we did the same thing as a company. And we look back, I mean, it happens throughout life. My first website I ever made, I look back at it now and it was horrible. But at the time, I thought I was the best website developer ever. And you sit back and you have that reflection and you realize it. For us, I mean, we didn't even know the difference. What was it? White balance was what we were trying to figure out. For the longest time, and then once we figured it out, then the videos went from here to here, and then they just keep going and going and going and going. And you've taken it further, though. You've taken it into After Effects, and I've seen some of your After Effects work. So that was the next step after to make them better? Yeah. What did you do for that?
To me, it was ultimately the same thing. I found that once some of the stuff that I started doing on Instagram, a lot of the bigger pages, like I kind of sent it to, and I noticed that more and more of them started using the exact style that I had. And I hadn't seen it anywhere else. So I felt like I was kind of bummed about it. I was like, I had this unique style. I was trying to grow my page. But what I wasn't doing at the time was creating enough content consistently where it was my thing. So when other guys did it, a few guys tagged me and said, hey, this is the way K Sultan does his. But to me, I was like, oh no, that's just a coincidence, right? I didn't really think much of it. And then it got to the point where everyone's videos looked exactly like mine. So I was like, okay. I like being different. I like kind of standing out. And I feel like everyone's going towards the same direction. But if everyone takes this route, everyone kind of blends in. So I always try going the same direction but taking the complete opposite route. So then mine kind of stands out in a different way. And it's little details that take me, for instance, After Effects might take me 3-4 hours for a 5-second clip. But ultimately when I post a video, those 5 seconds is what separates me from that.
There's two things you hit on there I want to touch on. One, videos take a long time. That's the number one thing. The number one misconception is people think you just take out your iPhone, shoot a video, post it. And you can do that. You can do a live. But any time that you're trying to piece a video together, they take a long time. You gotta film, you gotta edit, you gotta render, you gotta download, you gotta upload, you have to render again, then you export, and then there's a revision, you export again and render again. It's a huge process. And then you add in After Effects where your animation is going to take you 4 hours and one simple video takes you 2 to 3 days. So huge misconception for one that a lot of people don't realize. The second thing is gotta always push boundaries, right? So you're making videos, you're finding ways to stand out. For us, it's push the boundaries as far as you can. Make videos better. Keep improving. Continual improvement's everything. You can't stop because the minute you stop, you're dead in the water.
The way I see it is you have to stay at least 2-3 steps ahead of the game, because even eventually, like, you got to figure out, I feel like there'll be a point in time where a robot's going to be doing what I do. So obviously I'm competing not only against humans but eventually down the road against AI. So it's definitely something that you have to think about, and something that you have to capitalize on now, and something that I've actually seen on yours is first to market, right?
You want to be first to market with everything, because then you have that advantage that people see you as being first to market. The other thing that we say is speed to market. So you want to get stuff out as fast as you can. I know the video is going to take all that time we just talked about to put together. But get it out as fast as you can. And if you do have a revision in between, then recognize that that's going to be resources and time. For you, it's time that you're spending and not being able to make other content, or not being able to go train basketball, not being able to do something else. So get it out, edit it, get it out to market as fast as possible. Small details people aren't going to worry about.
Yeah.
And
to the normal eye, like most people don't really notice it anyway.
We might notice if the ISO's up or down or a little exposure, but most people don't.
Yeah.
And that's the hardest thing. Keep improving, but at the same time recognize that every time you don't send out content or make a change, those are touch points you're missing out on.
Yeah.
That's attention that you're just not going to get.
I actually saw Eric Thomas. Do you know who he is?
No.
He's an influential speaker. He actually did this video that went viral a few years ago that was as bad as you want to breathe, then you'll be successful. I don't know if you've seen that.
No, I haven't seen it. Take me through.
Basically, one of his topics that he talked about was someone could be like 100% better than them, or say their quality's up here, but they post once a month.
Yeah.
He'll be at 80%, but he'll do it every day.
Yeah.
So
volume.
This might get like 1 million views, for example, but all of his stuff will get like 500,000. And ultimately, even though his stuff might not be better, it definitely has that value and it has a content in it, and he's willing to outwork you in that sense of consistency.
Yeah, and hashtag more volume. We talk about that too. You watch any of the influencers right now, Gary V being one of them, all he talks about is volume.
Yeah.
The algorithm has changed that stuff disappears off your feed so fast that you need to stay in front of them and create that organic attention as much as possible. Platforms are moving towards pay to play. Yeah. And the way to counter that is create more volume. But you can't create more volume if you're not engaging in that speed to market. Because you just can't produce enough content, you can't produce enough videos if you're constantly revising them. So don't worry about the itty bitty, and in the end
it's
you'll
tough.
You'll
especially
get it
when
out.
you're to me, I see it as a perfectionism issue.
Yeah.
And if I notice the slightest little thing, it'll bother me to the point because I know often.
But I'm not going to see it.
Yeah,
you'll see it.
You
know it's there.
Yeah.
I mean, it does. It comes. There's that look good, feel good, play good with golf, basketball, every sport, right?
Yeah.
Where you're getting the coolest hockey stick because you feel good playing it.
Yeah.
And with videos, if you notice that detail, maybe you don't feel as good posting it, but you have to find a way to overcome that.
Yeah.
It wasn't easy, even for me. When we started out, Q took me through, and he showed me the videos, and I would point something out, and nobody in the office, nobody saw what I was looking at.
Yeah.
And eventually I was able to get over that fear and start to push stuff out.
Yeah.
But it takes time.
It does.
We recognize that. We recognize that for clients. And if you can make it happen, then you can get out way more content way faster.
Yeah.
And in the end, that's going to make a difference in building that brand.
Agree.
What platforms are you on?
I am mainly on Instagram.
Is that your favorite?
I actually started off on YouTube. So YouTube was the biggest thing for me, and I was putting in a lot of time creating episodes, more so just because I didn't really talk to people, and I found it as a way to express myself and what I was going through, what I was feeling at that time. And they did good. Like a few of them are over 10,000, close to 15,000.
Yeah.
But I didn't make them consistently enough.
So you didn't create the volume?
No, I did not create the volume. So I was thinking, I'm putting in so much time and effort into this. This'll get me to like 1,000 subscribers.
Yeah.
The next one will get me to 5,000. And I thought of it in that sense. I still haven't hit 1,000.
Oh, but see, YouTube is, I mean, we talk about this all the time. Starting a channel, you got 10 views, 20 views, 30 views, and it takes a lot of volume and a lot of videos before that algorithm kicks in and you start to get that traction. You have to just be dedicated and persistent. Yeah. And eventually it'll start to take off. But for a lot of people, they just don't last. And for you transferred from YouTube to Instagram then. Yeah. Why did you go to Instagram after YouTube?
1 minute videos just seemed so much
quicker,
easier. Yeah. And at the time, they were even 15 seconds, right? So you could create something that was completely different than the average person filming with their phone. Yeah. And have something that stood out. And ultimately, like the way I saw it now is like I took a long break from YouTube. I think over a year. Yeah. And I took the time to build Instagram because I found more people were on that at the time. And now that I've slowly built an audience, now I'm starting to film for YouTube again. And I've sent people to my YouTube link from Instagram, and
Yeah.
a lot of people have kind of gone and subscribed to it. And now it's a little bit more different, whereas before I was doing it more so under K Sultan.
Yeah.
Now it's more so in the dark athletics, and it's information that I wish I had as a kid versus me kind of putting out episodes with no real message behind them and kind of like no real storyline. Now all the videos that I'm creating have a purpose in terms of how to help you become a better athlete off the court. I have a guy who's a sports psychologist.
Offering pure value.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So stuff that people would be interested in and people would be genuinely trying to figure out as a kid. And the older I got, I would be on YouTube every night. Like, I need to learn something to be a better athlete, something different that I can do or I could be doing better. So taking that same mindset that I had going into looking for videos on YouTube and creating those videos I wish that existed during that time.
I love it. Khurram, thanks for coming out.
Yep.
Keep going hard, man. And we'll be live streaming your European basketball games next year when you get on one of those teams. So make it happen, and I love it.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, man.
Thanks for having me.